Drink baking soda. This way to improve circulation and intimacy. After 60. They told you it was just aging, but they were completely wrong. They said getting older meant slowing down, losing your spark, and quietly saying goodbye to intimacy. They told you that cold hands, weaker drive, and low energy were all normal after 60. And maybe you believed them, but they were wrong. Absolutely wrong. Because what's been quietly draining your confidence, stealing your energy, and pushing you further away from your partner has nothing to do with your age. It's a silent, creeping issue that almost no one talks about: poor circulation. And the longer it goes ignored, the higher the cost, not just to your health, but to your identity as a man. Hi, I'm Dr. Cole. I've spent the last 35 years helping men reclaim control over their health, their energy, and yes, their ability to be close again. I've treated thousands of men over 60, and I can tell you with certainty that aging is not the real problem. The real issue is something no one is warning you about, and the good news is there's a simple, natural shift that can help turn it around. And the solution? It's not a medication. It's not a supplement. It's not some exotic superfood from halfway across the world. It's baking soda. Yes, the same white powder you use to bake cookies, but when used like this, the way I'm about to show you, it can have a powerful impact on your circulation, artery flexibility, and nitric oxide levels. That's right. What's sitting in your kitchen cabinet right now might be the missing link to feeling younger, more energized, and deeply connected again in the bedroom. But fair warning, if you use it incorrectly, it can backfire, especially at our age. So stay with me, because in just a minute, I'll walk you through the exact method that's quietly changed the lives of thousands of men across America. Before we dive in, let me know in the comments, where are you watching from? I'd love to hear from you. Let's begin with the truth that far too many men over 60 have never heard from their doctor, and it's costing them more than they can imagine. I'm reminded of Dean, 68, a retired electrician, a man who could fix anything, except what was quietly breaking down inside himself. Dean didn't come to see me for heart disease. He didn't come for intimacy issues either. He simply said, "Doc, I can't explain it, but I feel like I'm fading." At first, he talked about energy, about how his daily walks were getting shorter, about how he'd doze off on the couch before sunset. And though he didn't say it out loud in the beginning, I could feel there was something heavier underneath, a quiet sense of loss he couldn't quite put into words. As we talked more, he finally opened up. Intimacy had become rare, awkward, and sometimes even painful, not physically, but emotionally. He felt like he was slowly vanishing from the man he used to be. What Dean was going through isn't unusual. In fact, it's far more common than most men, or their doctors, are willing to admit. Poor circulation often begins in our 50s, but it doesn't start with chest pain or any clear warning signs. It starts quietly, cold hands in the middle of summer, tingling legs just minutes after sitting still, and a subtle numbness where there used to be desire, connection, and warmth. Poor circulation doesn't come with sirens. It doesn't knock you down with a heart attack. It creeps in like fog, slow, quiet, until one day you look in the mirror and barely recognize the man staring back. And because it's so quiet, most men shrug it off. It's just getting old, they tell themselves. But it's not. It's your blood vessels, what used to be highways of oxygen and life, now narrowing like old rusted plumbing. They stiffen, they slow, and the tiniest vessels, those that deliver life to your fingertips, your brain, and your most intimate parts, they're the first to suffer. Dean didn't lose his desire. What he lost was confidence, that quiet strength that comes from knowing your body will respond when you need it to. He told me, "She didn't say anything, Doc, but I could see it in her eyes, the worry, the disappointment, like I was disappearing." That feeling of fading, inch by inch, is one of the cruelest things poor circulation does, because it doesn't just steal your warmth or your strength, it erodes your very sense of self. And here's the painful truth. This isn't rare. It isn't strange. By the time most men hit their 60s, their circulation is already in decline. But no one tells them. No one warns them that the distance they feel from their partner, from themselves, might be rooted in something as simple as blood flow. You don't just lose function, you lose presence, vitality, that inner fire that lets you feel alive inside your own body. But the reason I'm telling you this is simple. This isn't your fate. This decline is not permanent. Believe it or not, one of the simplest tools I've ever recommended might already be sitting in your kitchen cabinet. Yes, I'm talking about baking soda, but not the way you've been using it. Let me show you how this humble household item, when used the right way, can begin to reverse the very process that's been holding you back, and why the next few minutes may change the way you think about your body forever. Now let's talk about the part no one warns you about until it's too late. Poor circulation doesn't just drain your energy, it slowly dissolves your identity as a man. I remember Leonard, 73, a proud former Marine, sharp mind, steady hands, but the day he walked into my clinic, he looked smaller, not physically, emotionally. He said, "Doc, all my numbers look fine, my heart's healthy, but I don't feel like myself anymore." On paper, Leonard's body looked strong, but inside, blood was no longer reaching the places that mattered most. He paused, then added, "At night, my wife still reaches for me, but I just lie there. I don't feel anything. I can't even pretend anymore." Poor circulation isn't just physical. It gets into your mind. You start to doubt yourself. You feel distant from the person lying right next to you. That slow unraveling isn't something you can fix with a pill or by hoping time will make it better. You need to understand what's truly happening inside. Let me break it down simply. Your blood vessels are lined with something called the endothelium. When healthy, this lining produces nitric oxide, a molecule that keeps blood vessels soft, open, and flowing freely. But after 60, the endothelium starts to break down from stress, poor diet, or just time itself. Nitric oxide drops, vessels stiffen, and blood stops flowing to the places that define your confidence and your connection. It's like a house losing power. The lights go out, one room at a time. First is your energy, then you drive, then your response, and finally, the belief that you could ever feel like yourself again. What begins as simple fatigue or a slower response in the bedroom can turn into something much more serious. Early signs of vascular disease, a greater risk of stroke, and even erectile dysfunction that no pill can fix anymore. And the longer you wait, the harder it gets to come back, because no little blue pill can help you if the blood doesn't even reach where it's supposed to go. But here's what most men don't know. This decline isn't the end. Your blood vessels can regain their flexibility. Nitric oxide can be restored naturally. And the lights in that house? They don't have to stay dim forever. You just need the right switch. And surprisingly, that switch might already be sitting in your kitchen. We'll talk about that very soon. Now, here's the part that most men never expect. Something as ordinary as baking soda, yes, the white powder tucked away in your cabinet, might just be the beginning of something extraordinary. Not a miracle, not a magic pill, but a shift. One that, for many of my patients, has marked the quiet turning point between feeling like they were fading and starting to feel like themselves again. Let me tell you about Edward. He was 68, retired, soft-spoken, and the kind of man who always looked like he carried the weight of others before his own. He'd tried everything: expensive supplements, embarrassing gadgets from late-night ads. Even hormone injections left him moody and bloated, but still he felt empty. He said, "Doc, I don't know how to explain it. I wake up, I go through the motions, but I feel like I'm watching someone else live my life. I don't even reach for her anymore, because I'm scared there's nothing left in me to give." That hit me hard. Not because it was rare, but because it's far too common. Most men never realize that as they age, their body quietly becomes more acidic. It's the result of stress, processed food, medications, and the natural decline in kidney function. And that acidic environment doesn't just make you feel sluggish. It literally tightens your blood vessels, making it harder for blood, oxygen, and nutrients to reach your brain, your heart. And yes, the places tied to confidence and connection. That's where sodium bicarbonate, baking soda, plays a quiet but surprising role. In the right amount, used at the right time, and under proper guidance, it helps neutralize excess acidity in the blood. It doesn't flood your system. It simply brings your internal chemistry back towards balance, giving your blood vessels the breathing room they need to open, relax, and deliver life back to the parts of you that have gone quiet. When Edward began this, slowly, carefully, with guidance, he didn't expect much. But something began to shift. First, a subtle warmth in his hands and feet, a sign that circulation was returning to places that had gone cold. Then, a lift in his energy during the day, not a caffeine spike, but a quiet steadiness. Then, something else. He looked at his reflection and didn't turn away. And one afternoon, when his partner reached for his hand, he didn't hesitate. He said, "I felt like a man again, not because of what happened next, but because I wanted it to happen." That's the power of starting in the right place. Baking soda is not a replacement for medication. It doesn't erase years of poor sleep, poor diet, or disconnection. But for men like Edward, it has been the first real sign that change is possible, that something is still alive beneath the fatigue and frustration, just waiting to be supported. And that's the important part. Supported, not forced, not rushed, not guessed. Because what works gently when done right can absolutely backfire when done wrong. And I've seen it happen more than once. So before you go reaching for that box in the pantry, pause. In the next part, I'm going to show you just how easily good intentions can turn into real danger, and how to avoid the mistakes that have landed some men, strong, healthy men, in the emergency room. Stay with me. You're just now reaching the part most men never get to hear. I'm talking about men like Ben. Ben was 68, tall, broad shoulders, still golfing twice a week and walking 3 miles every morning with his dog. He wasn't weak, he wasn't broken, he was proud to be taking charge of his health again. After hearing about baking soda's benefits for circulation, he decided to try it on his own. He didn't ask, he didn't research. He just figured, if a little works, more must work faster. So he took 1 teaspoon in the morning, then another in the evening. Within 5 days, Ben began feeling strange. His belly felt bloated and tight. His pulse seemed off. Then one night, while reading in bed, he felt lightheaded and disoriented. His wife rushed him to urgent care. His blood pressure had spiked to dangerous levels. Blood tests showed his sodium was off the charts. His kidneys, previously fine, were now showing signs of stress. He didn't have a heart attack, but it was close. The doctors told him 1 more dose could have pushed him into full-blown renal failure. And here's the worst part. Ben thought he was being proactive. He thought he was doing something good for himself. "I just wanted to help my blood flow," he said. "I didn't think I was doing anything risky. It's just baking soda." That's the mistake. The belief that natural means safe in any amount. It doesn't, because baking soda isn't just something in your kitchen. It's a powerful chemical that alters the pH of your blood, your sodium balance, and your fluid retention. And after 60, when your kidneys and blood vessels are more sensitive, even a small misstep can throw your whole system off. Ben was lucky. Many aren't. So if you're serious about trying this, if something inside you is saying, maybe this could help me, then I urge you to do it with care. Do it with understanding. Do it with respect for the complexity of the body you've lived in for decades. Because done right, this small change can help. It can support better circulation, clearer energy, and even restore a sense of strength you thought was gone. But done wrong, it can undo everything you're working for. Now, if you're still here with me, I know one thing for certain. You're not just looking for a shortcut. You're looking for a real path forward, a way to feel like yourself again, without trading your health in the process. So, let me show you how to do it the right way. In the next part, I'll walk you through exactly what I share with my patients, from the safe starting dose to the right time of day. There is one simple technique that makes all the difference, because guidance, not guesswork, is what keeps you safe and moves you forward. Let me tell you about Samuel. He was 75, retired, quiet, thoughtful. He'd lost his wife 5 years earlier, and more recently, he felt like he was losing something else. himself. I still get out of bed. I still go on walks, he told me, but there's nothing behind it. I don't feel desire. I don't feel closeness. Honestly, I don't feel much of anything. His hands were cold, even in summer. His energy was flat. He had stopped responding to touch, even when he wanted to. And when he tried to reconnect with someone new, a kind, gentle woman he met through a senior book club, he found himself pulling away before anything could begin. It's not just the body, he said quietly. It's a shame. The fear I'll try. And fail. We started simple. Just a quarter teaspoon of baking soda and a glass of warm water, taken once every morning on an empty stomach. No pills, no pressure. Just a small daily practice, paired with proper hydration. 3 weeks later, Samuel came back, and something had shifted, not just in his body, but in his face. He smiled more, his posture was taller, and when I asked how he felt, he paused and said, I feel awake again. There's warmth in my hands, energy in the mornings, and at night, I'm not afraid anymore. Then he leaned in a little and said, We've been spending more time together, real time, and last week, when I touched her hand, something lit up in both of us. I didn't think I'd ever feel that spark again, but it's back. His story isn't rare. I've seen it again and again. The smallest shift in internal chemistry leads to the return of something deeply human, connection. Not just function, but feeling. Not just intimacy, but presence. That's what this is really about. So, if you're ready to try it yourself, here's exactly how I guide my patients. Take 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda. Stir it into a full glass of warm or room temperature water. Drink it first thing in the morning on an empty stomach. Only once per day. Don't take it after meals. Don't take it before bed. And absolutely don't double the dose. Small is smart, especially when your goal is balance, not brute force. But don't stop at baking soda. Hydration is just as critical. Throughout the day, drink water consistently, not just when you're thirsty. Thirst is already a sign you're behind. When your body is hydrated, blood flows better. Oxygen reaches where it's needed. And the parts of you that once felt distant begin to come back online, mind, mood, and even desire. One more thing. If you're on blood pressure medication, kidney treatment, or a sodium-restricted plan, always check with your doctor first. Baking soda affects how your body manages salt and pH. And at this age, even minor imbalances can lead to serious strain if ignored. This isn't about being afraid. It's about being wise. Because your body, like Samuel's, is still listening. It still wants to respond. It still remembers what it's like to feel warmth, desire, and connection, not just as a memory, but as something real and present. And sometimes, that entire return begins with a glass of water and one small step in the right direction. When Leonard first came to see me, he didn't dress the part of someone in need, shirt tucked in, silver watch polished, voice steady. But beneath the neat appearance, something was unraveling. He sat down across from me and said, Doc, I'm not in pain. I'm not dying. But I feel like a ghost in my own house. What he meant was that the connection with his wife had faded into silence. The spark was gone. The confidence dwindled to nothing. He didn't want pills. He didn't want promises. He just wanted to feel like himself again. And so we started with something small, a pinch of baking soda and water each morning and proper hydration. Nothing dramatic, nothing risky. When he came back 3 weeks later, he walked in before I even called his name. You're not going to believe this, he said, half smiling, half shaking his head. She kissed me on the mouth. And not just the kind you give your husband out of habit. He chuckled, but I could see his eyes glisten. And then, more quietly, he said, I felt something I thought was gone. I nodded. It's your circulation. Your vessels are opening again. Nitric oxide is flowing, and where the blood goes, life follows. But that was only the beginning. He called me 10 days later, not in a panic, but almost in wonder. I'm not bloated anymore after meals, he said. It's like my stomach forgot how to be mad at me. That made sense. When the body's too acidic, the digestive tract gets tense and reactive. Baking soda, in small amounts, buffers that acidity, letting enzymes and gut rhythms work like they're supposed to. Less acid irritation, smoother digestion. He also mentioned, almost like a side note, I haven't had heartburn in over a week, not even after spaghetti night. That alone would have been worth it for him. But then he leaned forward and asked, Doc, is it possible my gums are healing? He said they hadn't bled in a week. That's oral pH at work. A more alkaline environment suppresses the bacteria that inflame gum tissue. That little scoop was quietly disinfecting his whole mouth. A few more weeks passed. He came in wearing a windbreaker, grinning. I walked the golf course again, he said. Didn't even think twice. That's improved joint oxygenation. When your blood carries more oxygen and less inflammation, your knees don't argue with you as much. His words were casual, but the pride in his voice was loud. Then one day, unprompted, he said, You know what else? I don't fall asleep in my chair anymore after lunch. I used to crash like a rock. Now, it's like I've got fuel. That wasn't a coincidence. When you reduce the metabolic stress from chronic acidity, mitochondria, the energy producers in every cell start working more efficiently. Real energy, not just sugar spikes. Soon after, I noticed something even he didn't mention. His skin looked different, less dull, less dry. Turns out, his arms had stopped itching at night. A more stable internal pH supports better hydration and skin barrier function. You see it first in the smallest ways. He smiled once and said, You're gonna laugh, but I don't wake up 3 times a night to pee anymore. My wife's sleeping better now because of it. It wasn't magic. It was the kidneys doing their job again without constant strain. When acidity drops, the renal load lightens and the bladder calms down too. Then came the one I didn't expect so soon. Doc, he said quietly, I dreamed. I haven't remembered a dream in years. That nearly broke me, because it told me his nervous system was finally resting. His cortisol had dropped. His sleep architecture was repairing itself. He was entering deep REM again, the kind of sleep that heals, repairs, and revives the soul. The last thing he said still stays with me. I beat my grandson at chess last weekend, and not because he let me win. Better blood flow, better focus, and less inflammation in the brain. You can call it improved cognitive function. Leonard called it being back. He came to fix one thing, but what he got back was everything. Leonard smiled and said, I thought I just wanted to get close to her again, but it feels like I got my life back. He wasn't chasing youth, he was reclaiming dignity, and that started not with a pill, not with a clinic, but with one glass of water, one small scoop, and one decision to try something different. If you've made it this far, I want to say something to you, man to man. I know what it feels like to lose faith in your body, to watch yourself slowly shrink from the man you used to be, to pretend you don't care, that the spark is gone, when deep down, it haunts you every night. Maybe your hands have gone cold. Maybe you've stopped reaching for her because you're afraid of what won't happen. Maybe you tell yourself, it's just aging, even though every part of you wants more. And maybe you've convinced yourself it's too late. It's not. What you've been feeling, the fatigue, the distance, the emptiness, it's not just emotional, it's physiological. It's blood flow, it's nitric oxide, it's your body whispering, help me. The truth is, your body hasn't given up. It's just been waiting for you to stop settling, waiting for one small act of courage, waiting for you to remember who you are. And if something as simple as a pinch of baking soda in a glass of water can be the beginning, then why wait another day? Not a pill, not a prescription, just a quiet decision to care, to try, to start. Because you deserve to feel like yourself again, to walk into a room and still feel powerful, to see her eyes light up when you touch her, to lie in bed and feel warmth in your chest, not from a drug, but from a real connection. You are not broken. You are not done. You are still here, and there is more life left to feel. So, if today you do nothing else, do this. choose yourself, choose circulation, choose the spark. You don't need to believe in miracles. You just need to believe in one quiet truth. It's not over. It's only just beginning. And if you find practical, life-changing health advice like this valuable, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications. That way, you won't miss a single tip that helps you feel stronger, more connected, and back in control of your health. If not, just type 0 in the comments. Your feedback helps me make this content even more helpful for you. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next one.